We're going to continue today in Psalm 142. So if you have your Bibles, I trust you can turn to that passage with me. Yesterday we ended at the end of verse 4. David is hiding out in a cave. He's running from King Saul. He is close to losing his life, even though he knows the Lord has promised to put him on the throne. And yet when you're in these kinds of circumstances, it's very hard to keep your head above water sometimes. And David is struggling with that deeply. 4 different Psalms that we know of he writes during this period of despair and trouble. And Psalm 142 is the last of those as recorded in the book of Psalms. We ended at the very end of verse 4 with these words, "There is no escape for me. There is no one who cares for my soul." So he does, as he hides in this cave, and Saul and his army is coming after him. He sees no way of escape, and on top of that, no one that he can see actually cares for his soul. So David is in deep despair, deep depression. He's struggling in a great way at this point in time. Now he's praying to the Lord. He's calling out to the Lord. He's crying out in this time of despair. And we pick up in verse 5 some of this prayer. He said, "I cried out to you, O Lord. I said, you are my refuge." So as he cries out to God, realizing that no one seems to care for his soul, and that there's no way for him to envision escaping the troubles that he's in, he next turns to the Lord. Now, he knows there's nobody to help him. He's already identified that fact. But he does also know that the Lord can help him. And so his cry is out to the Lord, and because he knows the Lord is his refuge. That's not an uncommon a metaphor found in the book of Psalms concerning God. He is our refuge, our fort, our fortress. He is the one that we can go to, and we can go to no one else. When there's no other hope, no other rescue whatsoever, the Lord is our place of hope, our place of refuge. On top of that, my portion in the land of the living. So when we think of a portion, we might think of food. Probably the Jewish people at this time would have thought about land. And he mentions land in this verse. The Jewish people were given certain portions of land as a tribe and as a clan and as a family, and those portions were given to them perpetually. Even though some of them may have to mortgage that property and sell it off for a time, at the time of Jubilee, that every 50th year, that land would return to them. And so that land was never really out of their family, never really out of their lives. And so he sees the Lord as his portion. Right now, maybe he's running, maybe he's hiding, but the Lord is his portion. And one day that will return. His hope is increasing at this point. And then he begins to petition the Lord in verses 6 and 7. And we see 4 different petitions. He says, "Give heed to my cry, for I have been brought very low." First of all, give heed. Listen. Lord, please listen to what I'm saying. I don't know how I can know you're listening, but I'm crying out that you will listen to me, that you'll hear what I have to say, because I have no one else that cares and no one else that can help. So I cry out for you to listen. Secondly, he cries out for deliverance. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they're too strong for me. I think it's often not until our backs are against the wall and there's really nowhere else to turn, nobody else who can rescue us, that sometimes we turn to the Lord for deliverance. And that's where David is now. He knows his enemy is too strong, and so he turns to the Lord for deliverance. And then his third petition was for liberation. "Bring my soul out of prison so that I may give thanks to your name." He sees him, he's not in a literal prison, but that's the way he feels. He's behind bars, so to speak. He has no way of getting out unless the Lord delivers him at this time. And when he does, he will give him thanks. And so he says, "So that I may give thanks to your name, the righteous will surround me, for you will deal bountifully with me." I find it interesting, a psalm that begins in such despair, it's a psalm that begins in a cave and in a deep, low point in his life, ends at a party. He is going to be surrounded by the righteous, and you will deal bountifully with me. I think of Lazarus and the rich man in the New Testament. Lazarus' life was miserable. He had little food, just scraps off the rich man's table. He had sores. He had nobody apparently that cared for him or would take care of him. And then one day he dies. And the angels take him into the presence of God himself. And there he is surrounded by by a party of angels, it says, that rejoice over him, and the whole host of heaven that are there with him. What a picture of what he enjoyed. I heard a song some time ago. Most of you have probably never heard this. It's called "I Know," and the ending of this song is very interesting to me. It says, God speaking to the individual, "You're not alone. I'm all around you. My glory is revealed. My love surrounds you. I know." And I said, "God, I hurt." And God said, "I know." Even if David right now could not see the way that God was going to rescue him, he knew that God knew. And because he knew that God knew, he knew that the Lord was with him and the Lord would rescue him at some time. And so his psalm that begins in a cave ends in a party, and that's the way the Lord brings us through, because the Lord is our refuge and our portion.